Hardware Wars, a spectacle light years ahead of its time. Starring Fluke Starbucker, intergalactic boy wonder. Augie Ben Doggy, venerable member of the Red Eye Knights. Princess Android, interstellar damsel in distress. Ham Salad, ace mercenary pilot and intergalactic wise guy. Darth Nader, villain. See incredible celestial battles ablaze with death-dealing weaponry.
You're listening to Potty Mouth Radio, the home of movies, music, television, and comedy. We watch the thing. We watch the thing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to We Watched a Thing with Billy and Dave. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm very good. Very good. We've been seeing some decent films lately, which is nice.
We sure have, because this week we have reviewed an absolute cracker, and on the back of that, we are counting down our top 10 space movies. Very broad. I believe when we first floated this idea, we had said it was going to be spaceship movies, like it had to be set on a spaceship, and then I think we just ended up saying space movies. So this is super broad, and I think this is going to be fun. I think we'll disagree on at least some of these. But let's get into it first by talking about Project Hail Mary, a 2026 American science fiction film produced and directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, written by Drew Goddard, based on the 2021 novel by Andy Weir. It stars Ryan Gosling, Sandra Hüller, James Ortiz, and Lionel Boych. And what is it about, Dave?
It is about a high school science teacher who wrote a paper way back when that apparently was groundbreaking enough that when scientists discover that the sun is slowly being turned out for some reason and is cooling, which is going to kill us all, they need to turn to him because he is the only one that knows how to fix the thing. And so he is brought on to Sandra Hüller's super secret global band of scientists who are, it turns out that the cause of the sun cooling is some life form that just sucks up sun, but they can't work out anything about it. And the local science teacher, much as in another classic science fiction film, Evolution, the local community science teacher is the smartest person in the world, and Gosling is brought on board. And when they decide they need to send someone or a team up in a spaceship to go and do the thing, they have a kind of a challenge, a disaster, and lose all their scientists. And so Gosling gets forcibly volunteered to join said mission and is sent into space, where everyone else dies, and he's left by himself in space until he meets Korg.
Man, so you just drove straight into spoilers there. You just give no fucks.
The trailer spoils this movie. There were no surprises in this. You know, there's an alien that's made of rocks.
Does the trailer spoil why he is in space? I never saw a trailer.
Is that even important? It's a minor plot machination that gets him onto the mission.
That's a huge twist, especially I love this book. This is a fantastic book as well.
Well, see, I'll be interested to hear it because I know it's a highly regarded book. I've heard of Andy Weir, but I've never read any of his books. I did the fact that you start
and The Martian. The Martian is fantastic as well, obviously.
Drew Goddard's obviously a fan because he's now adapted both of those.
Well, he's only written 3 books. 2 have already been adapted, and the third one's been optioned. So, he's the new Michael Crichton.
Drew Goddard will be writing that one as well, because why would you get someone
Lord
else
and
when
Miller
you've had
directing that one?
Then it will be Drew Goddard. So, obviously, why would you? He has nailed 2 adaptations of this guy's books. But I did really like the fact that you jump back and forth, but it's not a time jump movie. You see the flashbacks to the past as he remembers them in the present, because he wakes up not knowing who he is or why he's there. And then as his memories start to come back, as he looks at effects from the other crew and stuff like that, and his memories start to resurface, then you get the flashbacks. I really like the fact that you learned who he was at the same rate that he did. I don't know if that's how it is in the book, but
it's exactly how it is in the book. And in fact, the book, I would say, takes it even further. So for the first 2 chapters of the book, he doesn't know he's in space. He wakes up in the coma. He doesn't know his own name. He knows literally nothing. And the biggest difference between the film and the book is that the book just digs a lot more into the science of everything. And so fair, most of the edits that were made are completely fair, like for pacing and everything. But like the first 2 chapters of the book, he has no idea what's going on. He gradually notices that gravity feels different. So he starts timing the speed of dropping a pen to figure out what's going on. He thinks maybe
I would have loved to see more of that in the film.
And then eventually realizes that he's
done with another hour of the film having that. Most people probably wouldn't. I could have done with more of that.
If this film was nearly 4 hours long, and I would 100% watch that.
Give me that.
Because I got to say,
give me that.
Big Dizzle's big call.
This is a fucking 10 out of 10 film. This is a perfect film. And I could do with more of this film. I love this film. I love it so much.
I would happily have it longer.
Give Sandra Hüller an Oscar right now. She's fantastic in this film. And I could do with an extra hour of her, because that's the other big difference, is that there is a lot more of his memories as he discovers things and a lot more of her character. Like, you should read the book, so I'm not going to say too much.
I will.
But there are entire subplots that are cut out. Like, there's scenes of her being taken to court over some of the things that she's doing. At one point, they nuke all of Antarctica to cause global warming, to try and slow down the rate that everybody is dying from the sun.
Wow.
So it goes a lot further into all of that. But again, it's all as he's gaining these memories back. And the only thing that I wish they had left in the film is really the explanation for why he's in space, which they don't explain, is that because obviously they're putting the crew in comas for the trip because it is such a long trip. And in the book, that's explained because if they don't do that, the crew are just going to go mental and murder each other before they get there because 3 people alone for that length of time. So they're putting them in comas. And through research, they've discovered that only 7% of the world have this specific gene that makes them coma resistant. And he happens to have this gene. That's the real reason that she forces him to go. It's got it, like, apart from him being very smart and being on the crew, it's really because of that. And I do feel if they had left that in, it would make more sense, because I think there are a lot of people watching this movie going, yeah, but he's a fucking science teacher, so why? And I think that's, honestly, as far as I'm concerned, that's the only critique you could have of this movie. I think it's a perfect movie. Give Rocky an Oscar, man. Give Rocky a fucking Oscar right now. Not only, like, the character's amazing, but the puppetry is incredible. The filmmaking's incredible.
I loved it.
I hope that you liked this movie as much as I did.
I don't know that I liked it as much as you did, but I don't know that anybody likes it as much as you did. I liked it immensely. It's certainly in my top films of the year at this point in time. Possibly a number 2 in that list. So far, but you haven't seen the one that I would have at number 1, I don't think. So I did recommend it, but I'll probably recommend it again at the end of the year because you won't have watched it.
Well, I know the one you're talking about now. Is this the one that you recommended literally in the last week or 2?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Good luck. Have fun. Don't die.
I will. Yeah.
But this is certainly like 9 out of 10, 9.5 even maybe. I've got it 4.5 on Letterboxd, but it's a strong 4.5. Not a lot to really critique about it, if anything. And possibly if I'd read the book, it would be a 10, because I can't really point to anything that's making it not a 10. It just maybe didn't land quite as hard as it did for you. But I think it's one of the best things I've seen Gosling do, and he's usually reliable and good. I think the practical effects, because as you say, Rocky is a puppet. It's not there's not green screen.
There is some CG there, but he is mostly a puppet. Yep.
And I believe if our friend Paul is to be trusted, there's no green screen or blue screen used in this film, which I find astonishing. But
so this is an interesting. Did Paul mention that? I haven't listened to their review yet.
Well, he said there's no green screen or blue screen used. I'm not quite sure how, but
so it's an interesting marketing thing at the moment, and VFX people do have an issue with it because this has come up several times.
It's the Oppenheimer thing all over again.
Yeah. So look, I mean, do they use a physical blue screen or green screen? The answer to that is no. But most films don't these days. Most films have switched to using a black screen because it's easier to roto. You get less color spill on the actors' faces. So most films for the last few years haven't used blue or green. They've moved to a black screen. Look, the sets are practical. Like they actually built like the inside of the spaceship, all that kind of stuff. I mean, but Lord and Miller said there's 2,200 VFX shots in the film.
There is no one in the world who would think there's no CG used on this film at all.
Yeah, and I actually wish that they would be more upfront about it because it makes it more impressive.
I don't see
when
why
they just tell you the truth.
Why is it a positive to say there's no CG or there's no blue screen or no whatever, and a negative to say that there is? I know. I'm all for championing special effects. I'm all for championing the makeup and the puppetry and miniatures, anyways. But I'm also all for championing really good.
It's all art. I'm here for championing good art.
They're different tools accomplishing something, and whichever one is done well, why wouldn't you celebrate it? If I were Lord Miller, I'd be out there going,
done well.
We've got the best CG guys in the fucking world. Look how good this is.
Exactly. Here's the thing: the CG in this film is done well. So I wish that they would just be honest and say, "Yeah, look at all this amazing CG, and there is amazing practical effects too." And I wish they would be more upfront about what's practical and what's not, because, for example, the scene where he sees Adrian, the planet, for the first time, and he flicks the switch on to the IR sensor, and all of those red lights come at him. The majority of that was done practically, which is very impressive and very cool. They replaced the camera with, they had an IR lens on it, and they've got all these IR light panels and stuff in the room. So for him, he's just standing in a black space, but on camera, practically, there are all of these beautiful little red lights coming at him and stuff. That's amazing filmmaking. But let's just be honest about, where what is. It's this, a lot of Rocky is a puppet. Most of Rocky is a puppet. But there are times where Rocky is fully CG. There are times where parts of Rocky is CG. My understanding is that most of the time he's in the ball, rolling around the spaceship. Most of that is CG. So the puppeteer was actually controlling the ball at that time. But then the actual Rocky creature is CG. But I don't care. I don't care what CG is not. Just be honest about it. As a VFX artist myself, give people fucking credit.
About the obviously that's the big thing, but also that's a point of pride, is how seamlessly the practical and the digital are woven together, where you can't see it. If it's all practical, that's impressive. If it's all digital, that can be impressive as well. But when you've got both, and you can't tell unless you're obviously an expert in the field like you are, if you can't tell where one is practical and one is not, then that's something else that should be a point of pride, I would have thought, because there's
so the whole no blue,
a lot of
no
films
green
that don't
screen
do
thing.
it well.
Yeah, the no blue, no green screen thing has become very popular for filmmakers to say.
I think that's hilarious if no one uses blue and green screen anymore.
Yeah, well, these days pretty much everyone's moved to black, because blue and green it casts spill, which is really hard to deal with, whereas black, the light doesn't
Just
bounce
shadow,
off it onto the actors' faces. And etching them out anyway. You're rotoscoping anyway. Like blue and green always were just a starting point. There was still a person there manually etching out the entire thing. So you may as well just do it on black, which is what most films are doing these days. But saying no blue screen, no green screen has become very popular because the general public associates that with CG.
People have
if
heard
they
of that
hear no
because
green screen, they go, "Oh, so there's no CG in the film?" And it's like, well, no, green screen is not CG.
It's
Green screen
nothing to do with that. No.
no, green screen is the 2D side of visual effects. Actually, there's a whole different.
That's
there's two
why
streams of
the
artists. There's
reason
2D
we
artists
know
and
the
3D
term
artists.
green screen is because of Star Wars in 1977.
Yeah. So it's become very kind of a popular thing to say, and it disturbs me that that's coming from Lord and Miller. But at least they did come out and say, "Well,
It may
yeah,
not
but
have
there
done
are
it. This could be
2200
some
VFX
dickhead
shots."
journalist. It could be some dickhead journalist not understanding a line in a media release. I wouldn't put it on
But I
Lord and
thought
Miller
the
necessarily.
production of this film
but
was brilliant. I mean, Greg Fraser's cinematography is
Stunning,
so
as you'd
good
expect.
in this film. It's stunning. Yeah. I think the sets feel so lived in. The design of the Project Hail Mary itself is so great. The design and the puppeteering of Rocky and the voice acting. I mean, I didn't think that I could feel so emotionally connected to a rock apart from Everything Everywhere All at Once. But this movie, this has more in common with E.T. than anything else. Like, this is a real family-friendly, in a lot of ways, film. And the buddy aspect of it is just so brilliantly executed.
Yeah, for a faceless... Because having that sort of emotion between a human and a puppet... Jim Henson's did that 40, 50 years ago. But for a faceless puppet, that doesn't even have humanoid hands to emote with, I think it's purely onto the voice acting, and I think it's pretty fantastically done. I've managed to narrow down the thing that's stopping me from being a 10 out of 10, and it's despite the fact that we're in science fiction territory and there's a whole bunch of stuff that, we don't understand, the idea that this high school science teacher was able to create something that translated an alien species into human speech that he could have a conversation with, and it didn't take him 5 lifetimes, is the one thing that kind of broke it for me. And maybe it's better explained in the book.
Kind of thing that, because the book just goes deeper into everything. And the book makes it clear how much time passes. Because obviously the movie, pacing-wise, it just plugs along. And it feels like it could be 2 days. The book, things take a lot longer. Like, for example, you discover that Rocky has actually already been there alone for 46 human years before Grace turns up. And, the way the language works itself is kind of explained, that it's musical notes. And so, Grace is able to identify, C sharp means this, and a C sharp and an A together means this.
He
builds a translator, but
that it's even in the spectrum that the human ear can hear is a stretch, let alone that he can then isolate the notes.
That's kind of explained that in the same way. See, because the whole thing is Grace's paper was the assumption that, breaking down the assumption that all life is water-based. And so obviously it turns out he's wrong. At least, not across the board. He might not be wrong, but as far as all the life forms in the book and the film are concerned, he's wrong. And so the idea that is explained in the book is that both he and Rocky's kind of people descend from the same life form. So there are
that's a big swing that they don't tackle.
And they do even talk about things like hearing. There's some really interesting stuff in the book where, Grace actually says to Rocky, "Don't you think it's interesting that you and I can even hear each other. Like, isn't it weird that you don't hear an entirely different set of frequencies than I
good.
do?
Oh, I'm glad that.
And Rocky
But,
says,
so what?
well,
The book is throwing Darwin out the window.
no. The book says that they both evolved from, Astrophage's ancestor, basically. So evolution is still very much a thing.
So what the microbes on Earth and microbes?
Well, microbes on the
stony microbes on the
sun, basically.
Right.
But astrophage is kind of the granddaddy of all, because as we know, astrophage moved from star to star. So that's kind of the way that the book explains it.
Okay.
So, I mean, yeah, there is a lot more of that stuff in the book. And if you're in for a bit of hard sci-fi, it's a fantastic read. So I'd highly recommend it. But like I said, I'm a 10 out of 10 on this film. Yeah. How are you? So you're 9.5?
Yeah, 9.5. I'm sort of between those two. I'm going to go 9. Just because, there is one film that I've enjoyed more this year, and it's not a 10, so it has to be 9.5. So this has to be a 9. But I still think it's higher than anything else that we've had so far this year.
I mean, let's get into our top 10 space movies. I've left this out, but if I was going to include this film, it would be very high. It would be in my top 5. Absolutely. I've seen it twice and I can't wait to see it again. So let's get into it. I reckon we're going to have some crossover here.
Oh, if we don't have a lot of crossover, I think there's probably something amiss. But despite the fact that I gave this a 9 and there are things on my list that wouldn't be a 9, I don't think this would have made my list just because
Interesting.
The things that I've got that I couldn't in good conscience give a 9 to, I have a greater love for.
Yeah.
Okay. But once I've read the book, I may come back to Hail Mary and kind of have more of an affinity, and then it'll have that factor as well.
All right. Well, once again, we had no proper brief when we set this out, so let's see what happens here. My number 10 is Serenity. Obviously, the film that finalizes Firefly and everything. I think it's a good fun time, especially if you're a Firefly fan. Is this on your list? Is not on your list?
No. See, weirdly, I really like Firefly. I'm not going to say anything bad about it. I don't have the massive love for it that some do, because I never watched it when it was out. I came to it much later, despite the fact I was a big Joss Whedon lover and I watched Dollhouse and everything else. For some reason, Firefly I missed.
Yeah.
So I really like Serenity. I've never watched it a second time. I liked it at the time. It's always confused me a little bit because I watched it out of sequence, and after I saw Serenity, I then went and watched Firefly, and was then very confused by the fact that I thought Serenity was going to be a follow-on from Firefly when it's obviously not. It's kind of like Evil Dead 2, where it's both a sequel and a reboot at the same time in terms of the characters, and that always confused me. But it's still Serenity. It's still great. I still love it.
Yeah. All right, your number 10.
My number 10, definitely not a 9 out of 10 if I'm being very honest, but I love the shit out of it. It's a film from 1980 called Battle Beyond the Stars, which was there were obviously a spate of post-Star Wars cash-in attempts. This, I think, was by far the best. It's a loose reworking of the Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven sort of story, written by John Sayles, so it's really, really well written. And you've got Richard Thomas as this kind of Luke Skywalker type farm boy from this very peaceful planet that's about to be attacked by this warlike race, and he sets off to find warriors that will come and save them. And it is very much a Magnificent Seven. He goes off, he finds the likes of George Peppard, who's this cowboy Han Solo type, Robert Vaughn, who, speaking of Magnificent Seven, Robert Vaughn, who's this super cool, suave assassin. You've got a Valkyrie who you then find out is almost microscopic. He encounters her, and because you're just looking at the two of them in their cockpits, you assume she's in this giant warship, and then you find out it's the size of like a Lego Star, toy. There are different, sort of like a hive mind group of aliens. All these really cool different aliens come together in this Magnificent Seven style thing, and then have to go and fight the bad guys. And it's just a heap of fun. I love it to death. Saw it as a very young kid. I would have been 8 when it came out, and
yeah, nice.
At the time I liked it more than Star Wars, but that's because I was too young, kind of, for Star Wars. When I was only 5 when it came out. I didn't really get it. Yeah, obviously, opinions changed later, but yeah, Battle Beyond the Stars, a lot of fun.
Nice. All right, my number 9 is, I'm sure this is going to be a crossover. This has to be a crossover. It's a sci-fi film that sneaky turns into a kind of psychological horror. It is Sunshine from 2007. Danny Boyle, Alex Garland. Is this on your list?
Honorable mention.
Oh, right. Oh, wow. This is, I love this movie. This is a fantastic movie. It starts out real sci-fi, and once it turns horror, it just keeps going. You've got Rose Byrne, who I absolutely love, of course. Big fan of this film. I can't believe this isn't a crossover. I thought for sure it would be.
I very nearly had this, and there are 2 other films that are kind of similar, and I very nearly had all of them, and I ended up having none of them. I won't mention them because you might, but I'll when we get to honorable mentions, I'll touch on them. I'm going to get all kind of wanky film bro now with my number 9, and this is a film that I know for a fact a lot of people hate because they think it's turgid and boring. Paul Brazulla being one of them. This is where I have 1972 Andrei Tarkovsky's Solaris.
Yeah, I don't love this film. Yeah, I'm with Paul Brazulla on this one. This is a really boring film, but it's better than the George Clooney remake, so it has that.
Yes. Sorry, Julio, who only likes remakes. Gus Van Sant, psycho, who prefers that one as the Clooney one. This is and this is why it's so low in my 10. I think it's a masterpiece. I think it's an incredible piece of work, as almost all Tarkovsky films are, but they're all very, very tough watches. Stalker's another one, which I think is probably a 10 out of 10 film, but
Stalker's
I'm never going to be.
This.
I'm not. Oh yeah, for sure. But I'm not going to be rushing to rewatch Stalker anytime soon, unless I'm really in the mood for a little 3-odd hour think piece. and this is much the same. I nearly there's again, I'll leave it for honorable mentions. I don't think you'd have it, but you might. There are some very thinky sci-fis, and if I'm in the right frame of mind, I really love them. I love to just have my mind blown for 3 hours with something that's incredible to look at, and makes me think. But that's only probably 5% of the time. The rest of the time, I find them boring. But when I'm in the mood, I do love this sort of shit. So yeah, written originally by Stanislav Lem, I think, if memory serves. But yeah, Tarkovsky's a real Marmite filmmaker. A lot of people think he's a master. A lot of people think he's fucking wanky and boring.
All right. Well, my number 8 is a film which, for some reason, was not as well received as I think it should have been. We're back to Ryan Gosling in space. It's First Man. Which Damien Chazelle, I think, is a great filmmaker. And I love this film. Look, you could argue that most of this movie is set on Earth, not in space. But, I mean, it's a space movie. It's literally about the first man on the moon.
It's about Armstrong, isn't it? Yeah, he plays Armstrong. I still haven't seen this, by the way, which is weird because it's Damien Chazelle, who I love. But Yeah, no, I still haven't seen it.
Man, you need to see it. I'm really
assuming there are
curious
some
to see what
dance
you think
sequences
it
in the spaceship. I'll be very disappointed if there's no dance numbers.
is. The score for this film is incredible. It's a beautiful score. So there you go. That's my number 8, and we're over to you.
Alrighty, my number 8. I don't have Gosling, but I do have Chris Pratt.
You going with Guardians?
No, I'm going with Passengers, which I think is a massively underrated movie.
It is an underrated movie. It didn't make my
really
list.
like this film.
Yeah,
I
it
think-
didn't make
I
my
mean,
list,
Jennifer
but
Lawrence
I'm on the
was
side of
fantastic.
this fence with you. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this. In the right vehicle, I really like Chris Pratt. It's only about 30% of his entire career, but the 30% where I think he's in the right vehicle, I think he's enormously charming and a good actor. Jennifer Lawrence is always a gift on screen. She's never not good. You've got one of my favorite actors, Michael Sheen, in there, in one of the best supporting characters in the sci-fi since R2-D2. Little bit of Larry Fishburne coming in at the end, but I love the premise. I love how fallible a character he is from the outset. He does an unthinkable thing for very understandable reasons.
Selfish reasons that are understandable.
Oh, yeah. It's a horrible thing that he does, but you see how he agonizes leading up to the thing that he does, and the repercussions of when what he's done comes to light and how that plays out. I think as largely a two-hander between these two, albeit with Michael Sheen as your kind of robot bartender, third wheel. I think it's I don't know why this got slammed as much as it did critically. A lot of people really hated on it. I've seen it probably 3 or 4 times now. I think it's a really, really good film.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's hugely underrated. Yep. All right. My
Nice.
number 7 is a film that's pretty rated. It's pretty well rated, and it's Gravity, which is the most I've liked Sandra Bullock in a very long time. I think she's excellent in this film. I think it has incredible cinematography. This is probably one of the best looking space movies ever.
Oh,
And it really
Second best.
captures that. Yeah, it really, really captures that kind of
the weightlessness and
feeling
the
of space, the weightlessness
Yeah.
and the loneliness, and is this on your list?
low.
Okay, yeah.
It is, yeah. It is one of the best looking films, and in fact, it is from the director who makes the best looking films of anyone working today. I think.
Yeah.
It's stunning. If you ever get a chance to see that on the big screen, do that thing.
Yeah. Yep. All right, over to you.
Number 7. This is where I go into Gene Roddenberry territory, and I have a Star Trek film, and the one that I chose after much agonizing is not the one that's probably regarded as the best. I haven't gone with anything with Ricardo Montalban in it. I have gone with Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, which is one of the Nicholas Meyer directed ones, which automatically means it's one of the best ones. And plot-wise, it concerns Kirk and the crew of the Enterprise are kind of framed for attacking a Klingon ship while they're supposedly in ceasefire and peace talks, and he is sent to a prison planet where he hangs out with David Bowie's wife for a while, and then gets and then has the big showdown with the Klingons that were actually responsible. And it turns out you've got a Klingon general who doesn't want to be peace. They're a warlike race. He thinks that David Warner's chancellor is kind of selling out their race and the nature of who they are as a warrior race. And he's spouting Shakespeare, Christopher Plummer playing that general, spouting Shakespeare, cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war. It's fucking fantastic. Absolute
Yeah.
gold.
I haven't seen this one in ages. I went on a big Star Trek binge, God, I reckon 15 years ago, probably more actually, because it must be like 20 years ago, and I watched all of them. And I liked the vast majority of them. Yeah.
I think Wrath of Khan and Search for Spock both hold up. I think Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, and Voyage Home, when they come to the present, that run of 3, which is kind of one story arc about Spock dying, coming back, and learning who he is again. I think that run of 3 is excellent, and I think Undiscovered Country is fantastic.
Yeah, nice. All right, well, my number 6 is where most likely you, but if not you, definitely a lot of the listeners are going to be yelling at me that this is low. But this is where I have 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is a very good film.
Wept.
There are just 5 space movies better than it.
There really aren't. Fuck me.
It's a good film. It's a good film. And there's some really, really good filmmaking in it. It's too long, which is a knock on it. I think that there are some sequences that work better than others. I think, obviously, the HAL sequence is brilliant. But people forget that that's like fucking 25 minutes of this film in amongst a whole bunch of shit that doesn't work as well as that. So... It's a really good movie. It's a really good movie. It's just the 6th best space movie.
I feel like we're reviewing Citizen Kane and going, well, the bit with the snow globe's all right, but...
I'm guessing that this is your number 1.
Oh, we'll see.
Okay.
What about to number 6? More Chris Pratt. This is where I've got Guardians, the first one.
Very, very close to my list.
The more I think about it, the more I think it's arguably the best MCU film in terms of how well it's held up
I would agree
over
with that,
time.
100%.
I think it is still as good now as it was 12 years ago, whatever it is. Largely, I mean, it's all down to James Gunn, really, taking... nothing, or not nothing characters, but certainly characters that were nowhere near the sort of echelon of fame as everything else in the MCU to that point, and turning them into characters you care about. It's, as we spoke about with Drew with the heist thing, the pulling together of the team of disparate people who overcome the differences and form a bond to become a family. All of that stuff works so well. The casting is incredible. Seriously, no knock on his live action stuff, but the best acting that Bradley Cooper has ever done. Every time I watch one of those films, I forget it's him. And Rocket is such a well-realized character who has such an arc over those 3 films, regardless of what you think about the second and third film's quality. Rocket's arc over those is the heart of all of those. Not a bad word to say about the first Guardians.
Nice. Yep. All right. Well, the 5th space movie that I think is better than 2001: A Space Odyssey is The Martian. I think The Martian is an excellent, excellent time at the movies. As with Project Hail Mary, I absolutely love the book. The book is one of my all-time favorites. And if you're too lazy to actually read the book, the audio book is incredible because the book is written as his log. It really feels like it's written to be read out loud. So... But I mean, fuck, this was one of those books that I was like, how are they going to make this as a movie? It's about one person alone on space.
It's
and
one
so
guy
much of
in the desert
doing experiments
growing potatoes in poo.
Yeah, but my God, it works. This is an incredible movie. In fact, it's due a rewatch from me for sure. So there you go. That's my number 5.
The one little spike in Ridley Scott's otherwise descent into mediocrity over the last quarter century, because nothing else he's done in 25-ish years has been much chop at all. And there's this one little kind of pinnacle of greatness.
If you could only keep either Ridley Scott or Tony Scott's filmography, who are you going with?
It has to be Ridley, but not for anything recent. I can't lose his first few films,
All right.
Sorry, I do love True Romance and Domino, but Yeah, the
All right,
reason
you're
I
number
didn't
5.
have this, because I do think it's a fantastic film, is when I was trying to wheel my big list down, I kind of tried to stick to only things where most of the film is in space, not on
a planet. You're gonna get madder at me.
Oh no, I I have no qualms with, but that is why. And when I rattle off honorable mentions, you'll go, oh my god, there's some of your favorite films, and that's the reason why, is because most of the film is not in space. It's on the ground. But straight back to you. Number 5 is where I had Gravity.
Okay, all right. Well, my number 4 is where I have Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, which I'm sure this is going to be on your list, right?
It is not.
Whoa. Okay. Look, there's a reason that Star Wars holds its place in the zeitgeist near 50 years later, and with more bad content than good at this point. The reason
by
that it
a
holds,
long way.
The reason that it holds is those first 2 movies. It's New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back, because they are so well constructed. The plotting, the characterization, the film, everything about those films is just exceptional. So that's where I have The Empire Strikes Back, number 4.
Yep. Can't criticize that at all. All right, number 4. Okay, number 4. And yeah, from here on, these are all pretty much perfect films. And the ordering of them, while I haven't changed it since I wrote them, they're all very close to one another. But this is where I have Christopher Nolan's Interstellar.
Excellent film. In fact, it is my number 3. So we're going to skip straight past me after this. But yeah, this is.
There we go.
I love this film. Yep.
It's one of the few Nolan
to see
films
it a couple of years ago in IMAX. In fact, it must have been last year they were showing it in IMAX. And my God, this is a good looking film.
The way that he's interpreted looking through time as the kind of 5D library shelves of books. It's incredible film. One of the few Nolan films that actually has heart and characters that you care about, rather than just being visual, clever, really written visual spectacle. And there is so much heart. The relationship between McConaughey and Jessica Chastain is just heartwarming. The ending of this film is fantastic. I love the bold choices that they took with things like the design of the robots, which on paper you would think that's as goofy as fuck, but for some reason it's not when you see it on screen. Having an actor that usually everyone loves be an asshole.
Yep. Also
a nice bold choice. I love this. Every time I watch it, it rises further in my estimation. It's in my top 3 Nolan films, along with Inception and The Prestige, and there is a significant gap between those 3 and all the rest. I think it's a special film.
Yeah, nice. As mentioned, it's my number 3, so we're straight back to you for your number 3.
All right, my number 3. Speaking of the Scott that I wouldn't get rid of, this is where I have Alien.
And I would say low.
Rewatched this in 4K only less than a week ago, and Jesus Christ, still a 5 out of 5, no notes. It's so
100%.
good. It is, in the top 10 horror movies of all time, and it's in the top 10 space movies of all time. It's the second best Ridley Scott film of all time. Just fantastic. Everything about it. The Geiger designs,
I had it just last week
cast.
in my top movie kills. Like it has everything. This movie has everything. Yep.
Absolutely. Yep. Can't fault it. So that's my number 3.
My number 2
I'm
is
very
the one where I'm
intrigued.
expecting people to get cranky because
Oh my God, Spaceballs.
Is this a space movie? Is it a space movie? I don't know. You're
Oh,
going to tell me
can I
it's
guess?
not.
Can I guess?
Sure.
Are you going to have Contact?
I'm not having Contact, but I do love Contact.
Okay.
I'm having Arrival.
Oh,
Look,
oh,
the whole movie is set on Earth, but I mean, it's all about aliens.
look. Much as I hate to bend the rules to make your very problematic pick seem reasonable, when they're communicating with the aliens,
Yes,
they're kind of the aliens aren't there. They're seeing from where they are to where whatever wormhole-y.
kind of.
No,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to stop trying to make your
I just think it's such an
problematic pick work.
exceptional movie. It's an exceptional movie. I love this movie so much. I think it's one of Denis Villeneuve's best. And I mean, look,
Yep.
you could have had Dune on this list. Dune didn't even cross my mind because Arrival exists. And this is just one of the most perfect movies ever made. Is it a space movie? Probably not. You're probably going to, I'm going to get yelled at for this, but that's fine.
Oh, I'm not
That's
going
my
to yell at
number
you.
two.
It's. If I was ranking Villeneuve films, I'd probably have Dune Part 2, then Arrival, then Dune Part 1. And again, I don't have Dune Part 2 on my list because it almost entirely takes place on a planet. You're
On a
almost
planet,
never
yeah.
in space because they go through fucking wormholes. They don't even travel in space. So I didn't think of them as space films. But Arrival's incredible. Absolutely incredible film.
All right.
So
Your number two.
my number two. So I said I didn't have Empire, and the reason I don't have Empire is because I have more fondness for the first film, which up until 1981 was just called Star Wars. There was no fucking
Star Wars,
episode
yeah.
or anything.
Look,
this
it's
is one of
totally
the
fair to have this there.
along
Yeah.
with the first Christopher Reeve Superman. These are the two formative films that I remember seeing. This one was at a drive-in, and I distinctly remember my dad and I just giddy with glee while my mum was trying to cover my eyes through things like the Creature Cantina because she thought I'd be scared, and I was like, no, this is great. I had the fucking action figures. I was obsessed with this film from the age of, I would have been probably 6 when it came out, 5 or 6, through till, I don't know, till I started high school. Certainly this was my number one obsession was Star Wars. So there it is.
Absolutely no arguments here. Excellent, excellent. Well, look, my number one is Alien, which I think is, as we both said, a perfect film. It's a perfect horror film. It's a perfect space film, perfect alien film. It is the best of the Alien franchise easily. It's my number one. So, and I guess we know what your number one is then.
My number one is the only film that is written by the greatest science fiction writer of all time and then directed by the greatest director of all time. So how could it not be the greatest space movie of all time?
Well, because it's
it
the
is,
sixth
of course, 2001: A Space Odyssey literally takes us from the dawn of man all the way through to final evolution of cerebral consciousness. What more could you want? It's not too long. It's barely long enough. Every second is a masterpiece. And yeah, I could watch this a million times and never get bored.
Nice. All right. Well, let's see what people in the listener community have to say. Smiley Salmani said, number 3, 2001: A Space Odyssey. That's better positioning than number 1 there, Smiley. That's good. Number 2, Silent Running. And number 1, Alien.
Oh, Bruce Dern. Nice.
Yes. Alien in the exact right position. Sam Hurley from Movie Reviews and 20 Qs had Empire Strikes Back. Aliens. Is that a typo, Sam? Did you mean to write Alien? 'Cause
Aliens doesn't take place
Aliens
in space,
is
and
not
it's
as
not as
good.
good as Alien. It's not as good, and it
And,
also takes place entirely on a planet.
and Thor Ragnarok.
That's a good film.
So, and Sam
place
did
on a
say,
planet
yeah, I'm
largely, but-
basic. What of it? Chris Yini had Gravity, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and Heavy Metal. Nice one. And that's it.
I need to rewatch
That's it
Heavy
for the
Metal.
listeners. Thank
Have
you
you
for
got
joining
honorables?
us here at
What
We
else
Watch
did you-
Thing. I have no honorables, of course. I made my list at the last minute, as always.
All right, I want to very quickly, because I don't want people thinking these aren't amazing movies. the ones that I ruled out because they weren't predominantly in space. Barbarella, 5 out of 5, no notes, amazing film.
Yeah, Barbarella is excellent.
John Carpenter's Dark Star, which I love. You mentioned Sunshine, which was close to my list, but I also considered Event Horizon and Pandorum, which are both all three of them are cool horror movies in space. I very much liked the movie Life with Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal and who is it? Can't remember who it is. But yeah, very good film. Starship Troopers, but again, spent too much time on terra firma and not enough in space. High Life from Claire Denis, which a lot of people think is boring like Solaris, but as we've established, I like boring science fiction. Last Starfighter, Hitchhiker's Guide, and as I said, I ruled out the Dune films because they all take place, understandably, on the planet of Dune.
Yeah. Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us here at We Watched a Thing. If you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at pottymouthradio.com or pottymouthradio@gmail.com. If you're on YouTube, hit the likey, subscribe, all that stuff. You can head over to the Facebook listener community, and we'll catch you next week with I don't know what.
With a thing. We're going to watch a thing, like it says on the label.